Hi guys, my name's Elliot Harlan Bethel, and if you're new to this channel, it is about energy healing, personal development, and following my journey utilizing various different forms of fasting throughout 2020 as a healing modality. And today's video is not a video I'd imagine myself doing, especially not a year ago or as far as 3 years back, because today's subject is something that I don't expect everybody to understand. And if I'd have seen this video 3 years ago, it would have been a huge trigger fest for me. In fact, it would have been the wild west of movies of trigger fests for me, because you've probably heard me talk about before how I discovered through numerology, astrology, human design, and various other methods that some of my life tasks in this incarnation was patience was one of them, and jealousy was a very, very big one. And looking back on my relationships, I had a string of 7 sort of 2-year relationships, and every single one of them I was a very jealous person. In that relationship, I felt like that person was my property. I was very, very wanting to know what they was doing all the time. It was a very, very stressful situation, not just for myself, but clearly for my partners, and it wasn't good for them and it wasn't healthy for me. But I was reflecting this because of my level of vibration, and it was something karmically that I needed to work out. And something I've been practicing for the last 3 years is polyamorous relationships. So that is where I would be dating between 3 and 5 people at the same time. And I'd be very open about it. So there was no shame, no guilt. It was honest from day one. And looking back in the past, one of the reasons I probably did cheat on partners was because I felt like if I expressed that I wanted to see more than one person at a time, I couldn't technically have my cake and eat it. So I'd do it anyway, because in a way there were some relationships where I'd make myself believe my partner had cheated on me in order to justify me doing it. Now, I've spoken to a lot of guys, and this is something that's quite common. And at the time I didn't realize this. There was a lot of shame and a lot of guilt, and I had nobody to talk to about it. And it was a dark place, because jealousy was probably my biggest fear, and that should have brought it to my attention even more, that was a life task and a life lesson that I needed to deal with, because it was such a big fear. And I spoke to a friend of mine who basically told me about polyamorous relationships, and when he told me about it, I was like, that's just wrong. If you're in a relationship with someone, you're there for each other, this and that. And the way he explained it to me was, if you really love someone, you should let them be free to do what they want to do. And at the time, I didn't quite understand it. And there's still parts of me that's a little bit foreign to this. But what I do know is that for me to be completely honest with someone, when I started dating in a polyamorous sort of situation, and I'd been on a couple of dates with someone, and I said to them, look, this is the situation. I really, really like you. I'd like to carry on seeing you, but I am seeing other people. And if the situation arises where you'd like to meet this person, then this, and just laid out the terms of what I was going through and what I was feeling and what I wanted at the time. That level of honesty and that level of vulnerability knocks down so many veils that I was really, really shocked to find that every single date I went on, and there was quite a few, every single date I went on, the person said they was fine with it. Now, this was such a big shock for me, being someone that had serial cheated on people, because I was scared that the person's reaction would be completely different to that. And now being shown that if I'd have just spoken my truth, been vulnerable and honest from day one, I could have saved myself a lot of hassle and technically not hurt a lot of people in the process. But part of my healing was to go back and speak to a lot of the long-term relationships that I was in. And again, I was very, very scared about what they was going to say. And I had several situations where I spoke to my exes, and they actually said to me they were grateful for the situations that happened because it taught them something. And again, it was me putting my projection out there of what I thought, my fear-based projection. But luckily enough, I'd done enough work, and it come back to me that I was actually just projecting fear onto it, and there was no need for it. That the situation was always, if you speak your truth and be vulnerable, then the path is there for you to have your cake and eat it without you setting up any obstacles. This might not always be the case for everyone, but this is what I found. And if you listening to this, it resonates with you and you feel this is something you'd like to talk about, then yeah, feel free to drop some comments in the comments below or email me at Mind, Body, Soul, Spirit Coach. But I cannot stress how much of a growth it was for me to experience being open, vulnerable and speaking my truth and dating more than one person at the same time to get over that issue of jealousy. And the reason I'm making this video now is because years and years ago, I watched a video about the law of attraction. And I watched it about partners, and it said, if you really want to manifest someone or your ideal partner, write out a list of all the qualities and things you'd like. And I wrote out probably a list of 20 things that I wanted to find in a partner. But being very shallow at the time, I'd only written physical attributes like brown hair, brown eyes at the time, tanned. And then it even said at the bottom, if the person doesn't have nice feet, then every single item on this list beforehand is void because the person must have nice feet. And I didn't put anything about the personality traits or whether they were spiritual or whether they were caring or anything like that. I just put a list of looks. And within 2 months, it was really strange that I actually bumped into someone and ended up dating someone who was that identical list. Now, I feel like I'm coming to a stage in my journey where I'm starting to notice now that all of the things I wanted in a partner are actually attributes that I wrote down and wanted to embody within myself. So now I've started and gone through and started to embody all of these different attributes like kindness, truth, faithfulness, integrity, honesty, unconditional love, peace, harmony. And these are just a few of the things that I've been embodying over the last 3 years. I'm really starting to notice the people coming into my life now are embodying these things because they're a reflection of myself. Now, what coincidentally happened after I split up from the girl who had everything on the list, the previous list, I actually walked into a restaurant one day, and when myself and this girl made eye contact, I felt like it was almost like coming up on an ecstasy tablet. When I was younger, I felt something inside of me. And this was after I'd had my spiritual awakening. And it was very funny how it happened with my spiritual awakening. I lost everything, my house, my car, my fiance, my daughter. And I was going through a legal battle with BMW because I had this car that I loved. It was a BMW X6M. It was fully loaded and I bought it off them and the engine blew up. And they was refusing to pay out, saying that it was flood damage and it was the middle of summer, and it was consequently found out that the car had been towed out of a flood before I bought it off BMW. And my number plate on this car was R666HAB because this was the name of my hair salon that I owned. And I wanted the number plate to look like Rehab because the number was called Rehab. And it was an ongoing legal battle. And I actually Googled the meaning behind the number 666. And what it came back to me was that it's an angel number that's telling you to balance your physical world with your spiritual world. And this was when I was starting to get in tune with guides and start to understand communicating with energies and various different things. And I was being strongly guided that I had been concentrating on my physical so much. I've been going to the gym, I've been concentrating on work, I've been concentrating on getting a house, on everything looking right in the physical, that I'd actually neglected my spiritual side, and my spiritual side was almost bankrupt. So I was having like a little bit of a mental breakdown because I'd focused so much of my attention and energy therefore on the physical that my spiritual side was just collapsing. So funny enough, what happened was I phoned BMW up and I said to them, you know what, keep the fucking car. I'm not bothered about it now. And within 24 hours, the money went into my bank account for that car. The second that I let go of the resistance to it, the money for that car went into my bank account. And this showed me that there's so much more to this than just the 3D reality, that there's so much more in the spiritual and the physical, that I then spent the next 3 years of my life concentrating and learning every spiritual practice I could possibly learn, from meditation, yoga, astral projection, out of body, lucid dreaming. I threw myself so far into the spiritual and then managed to balance my spiritual and my physical. And when I walked into this restaurant, I saw this girl. We went on a date, and it was a very, very strong spiritual connection. And it was almost like on the first date, we knew everything about each other. In fact, I actually said, this is going to be different from a first date. I'm going to talk to you about you for 10 minutes, and then you can talk to me about me for 10 minutes. And it's very interesting that we both got quite a lot of it right. But there were still things ultimately at that point that I needed to work on within myself. So this never really went anywhere. But the reason I'm saying this is because now I've had the experience where I've had the relationship in the physical that I really, really wanted. And now I've come across something that was very, very spiritual. I now won't settle for anything less than my next relationship will be a combination of those two put together. So that it'll be a combination of what I want in the physical, and it'll be a combination of what I want in the spiritual as well. Because the feeling I had was so powerful, and yet the connection and attractiveness I had was so... This might sound very, very triggery to some people, but I'm trying to explain it in the best way I can using the words that I'm using. And now I have embodied all of the things that I want in a partner. As I say to you, what I'm starting to notice is that not only are the people that I am seeing on a daily basis, the people that I am attracting in a partner sort of way are actually reflecting now the things that I'm embodying. And I'm not saying that I'm in any rush to start a relationship. All I'm saying is I am patient and I will wait for it for as long as it takes. But it's beautiful in the fact that now I feel comfortable, and now there's enough self-love within me. It only took for me to love myself 100%, for me to start realizing that then there's more love in the relationships around me. And I've spoken about trying to help people from a cup half full, and how I spent years trying to help people. And it was almost like I was trying to be a martyr for other people, but never being full myself. Now, if you take the word beautiful, and I've used this before, and you split it into several words, it's be you till full. Now, when you be yourself until you're full, everything becomes beautiful. Because when you're full within yourself, and that's in your energy field, and if you want a partner that is going to be truthful, faithful, loving, caring, spiritual, you embody these things within yourself. This is your temple. This body is your temple. This is the gate of the living God. This is your temples. Whatever you think and whatever you put into that energy field, you embody, and then you start to attract. As I said, this is now in my friendships, my business partners, my relationships. This is a reflection of everything around me now. So until you have a vibrational match to what you want to find, it's very, very difficult. And for me to have even thought of, I could never have understood that spiritual feeling or that spiritual connection before, when I was so immersed in 3D, that I know there might be some people watching this not being able to quite understand that, but the planet is going through a huge shift at the moment. For those of you who know about ancient teachings and the Mayans and 2012 and the 12th of the 12th, there was a big shift then, and there's been a big shift recently, and the Schumann resonance has gone from like 8, and it's peaked at over 100 at some points. And a lot of people are now drinking less, taking less drugs. There were 600,000 vegans in the UK last year. There's 1.8 million this year already. So that's 3 times. So people are becoming a lot more energy sensitive. They're realizing that we're not physical beings having spiritual experiences, that we're spiritual beings having physical experiences. And if we don't look after our spiritual sides and our physical sides, then we start to self-destruct. So for those of you who are going through the repeated cycle of, when I was having my addictive cycles, I was going out 3 or 4 times a week, doing loads of drugs for 48 to 72 hours. it's a repeating cycle that's going to happen until you realize that you need to give attention to your spiritual side as well. And it can be as simple as just sitting down and meditating for 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening. And just by doing something as simple as that, it then leads you on to the next thing. For me personally, I spent 3 days in bed, didn't leave bed, thought I was at my lowest point, and just literally started breathing differently. Something within me just said, take some deep breaths. I took some deep breaths. It led me on to some meditation videos. I started meditating. I started looking into breath work. I then met a group of people who were doing astral projection, and it was just a bread trail, a synchronicity or bridge of incidents that led me, and I followed my joy, followed my bliss. And every time I felt excited about something and I knew my soul was getting growth, I followed that bread trail and it led me on to the next thing. And this is called synchronicity or meaningful experience. It's not coincidence. And the more you realize, the more you follow your bliss, the more you enjoy yourself, the more you get of that. Because when you put your attention on something, your energy goes there and then it creates that. Because we are the creators of our own reality. And if you're putting your attention on something that brings you joy, then what it does is it opens up the next door for more enjoyment, and then the next door for more enjoyment. But if you're concentrating on bad health or viruses or things like that, your attention's going there, your energy's going there. That's the doorway that you're heading towards. So all this coronavirus stuff, just spreading fear about it is one of the biggest ways to make it worse. I mean, if you look at it statistically, you're 99% chance, even if you get it, of surviving. So start looking at the statistics that are positive if you're even going to give it your attention. For me personally, I haven't even heard anything about it until I went out to the shops today and someone mentioned something about toilet roll. I didn't even know about this toilet roll stuff. I don't watch TV. So if you're going to give your attention to it, then expect to see more of it. But I personally don't give any of my attention to it, and the only reason I come across it today was because I was making a joke about toilet rolls and how there was none in the shop, and then it was brought up. So be very, very careful where you put your attention and what you give your energy to, because that will become your reality and you'll bring that more into your life. So follow your bliss, enjoy yourself. I hope this hasn't been too much of a trigger fest for many people, but what I'd say to you is, if it is, maybe take a look at some of the jealousy issues that you've got within yourself. Take a look to sit down and think about why you're feeling that way about the relationships that I've spoken about. At the end of the day, there's many, many different flavors. There's many, many different versions. There's many different males, sexes, positive, negatives, darks, lights. It's a sweet shop. You've got to experience all of these things in order to find out what you like, because what one person thinks is positive, someone might think is negative. At the end of the day, you're here to create your own reality. So judgment doesn't get you anywhere. I learned that a long time ago. If somebody's interested in one thing and I'm not interested in it, that's amazing for you. As long as you're enjoying yourself and you're happy, you're creating that happy vibe, you're creating that positive vibe, you're vibing higher in the world, which means you're vibing off on more other people. I'm happy for you. No judgment at all. So yeah, follow your bliss, enjoy yourself. And if there's any comments about this, please do comment in the comments box below or email me at Mind, Body, Soul Spirit Coach. Thanks for watching. Interesting to see the replies I get on this video, because it's something I never really would have talked about before, simply because, as you know, I'm a big believer in everything is energy vibrating at a certain frequency, and I'm now at a point where I know how to utilize my energy for its highest good, for the highest purpose. So other people's energy have no effect on the outcome of mine, because I'm in control of my own energy, and I utilize it for its greatest good, for its greatest purpose. Whereas, as I've said before, sometimes people making assumptions about us outside of, especially family and friends, because we care about them so much, can have a little bit of an effect on our energy if we don't know how to protect our own energy and to use it for its highest good. So when I'm coaching people, I will always say, if you're going to attempt something like a fast, and you're worried what other people's thoughts, feelings, and what they're going to say to you about it are going to be. If you're confident within yourself and you're surrounding yourself with people that have done it and you're listening to people that have done it, you're going to have that energy around you. It's going to be more beneficial to what you're trying to do. Whereas if you are surrounded by people who are going to tell you you can't do it and it's not possible, that is going to have an effect on your energy if you listen to it and you don't know how to protect your energy from it. So whenever you're going to take on a new job or a new relationship or a new form of energy that you want to upshift to, surround yourself with people that are doing it, surround yourself with thoughts, and listen to things of people that are already embodying that energy, because that energy will help you. Whereas if you're around people that are naysayers, that energy could have a knock-on effect. I say could have, not will. So surround yourself with like-minded people, high vibrational energies, or energies or matches of the things you'd like to do, say, be, embody, etc. I'm going to leave it there because this video has run quite a long time over. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.